Hello, lovely. This is Lazy Fox Creates, a podcast about the crafting experience, and I'm gonna nerd out about leather. For this whole episode, I'm gonna be talking about Chrometan versus Vegtan. And if you're like me, Vegtan doesn't mean what you think it means. There's a lot of different types and qualities and things to look for in leather. When I first learned what full grain was and to be wary of when companies tell you they sell genuine leather, I thought I was all set. That was not the case. I bought a hide of Chrometan, full grain crazy horse leather to use for a bag I was making for this cosplay. But I bought the wrong thing and I painted it, and that was not the correct thing to do because Chrometan, you don't fucking paint. So there's a lot to learn, not just about the different levels of quality, but also just the type of leather itself. And thus I learned not only to be wary of genuine leather, but that there are two main types of leather that I can use for different projects: chrome tan and veg tan. Now these are referred to literally how they're tanned. Quality is a whole different thing altogether, and that's still something to look for when buying. But well, I could make a whole episode about that, but that's for a future project. But for now, just assume all of what I'm using is full grain, which is the top quality in a hide. So we'll talk about chrome first. This is what most people are familiar with, even if they don't know it. It's called Chrometan because it's tanned using chromium salts, which result in a softer leather. This is if you have a leather bag or a leather jacket or journal, probably it's Chrometan. So for leather workers, when you buy a hide, it will come finished with a top coat, all the waxing it needs, and it can have different qualities to it, like being a pull-up leather, which is when you stretch or pull it, it like lightens, and the more you use it, essentially, the more unique to you that piece will become. It makes really gorgeous bags and journals, because of that quality. You're opening your book and you're using your bag every day. It just gets to be really beautiful. So you don't have to dye or paint these because they already come in a variety of colors and they're all finished. And that can be a good and a bad thing because obviously it's less work. You don't have to finish it already. But what the main thing that I find when I'm using Chrometan is that I have to hide the edges somehow. I don't like how the edges look when they look unfinished to me. So it's for a specific kind of project, like my leather journals or my cat dice trays, where they can look a little more rugged, like that earthy leather look. You can finish the edges. It just takes a lot of patience, and I hate doing it, so I avoid it when I can. It's like my second least favorite part of leatherworking, the first being skiving. And it just takes a lot of layers of thin paint, a lot of sanding. I'm sure some people like it, I don't. So I try to fold the edge over to create a seam when I can. Most of the leather I work with is too thick for that. I usually just try to hide the edge somehow, though. And I also just don't like how it looks as much as Vegtan leather. You can finish those to look really nice and professional. Now for Vegtan, this is a whole other thing to work with because first of all, you have to dye or paint it most of the time. Um, You can buy some that is finished already, but if you wanna tool it, which is pretty much the only reason I use it, then you have to dye it yourself. So this is leather that when it's wet, it takes an impression very easily. You have to get it the right amount of wet because too much and it's gonna look kind of just like it's squished into place, almost like it's tugging on it too much, and not enough, it's not gonna take the impression well. So you have to kind of get a feel for how wet it should be. But once you do that, you can put stamps on it, you can use a swivel knife to cut designs into it, and then you use a beveled tool to just kind of make it a little nicer. I've started doing florals more, and when I first started leatherworking, I didn't like it for some reason, but then I slowly adjusted to it. That has happened to me a few times in leatherwork. I used to not like the slanted um thread line either, and now I'm like obsessed with it. When I first heard of Vegtan, it sounded fake. And I feel a little silly for that. I think I got it confused with vegan leather, cause like, vegetable leather. And vegan leather is fake, and like, I'm not gonna go on a whole rant here, but essentially just plastic and not great for the earth. But I have opinions on things. But vegetable tan is just referring to the tanning process. Where Chrometan uses chromium salts, Vegtan uses tannins naturally occurring in barks and leaves. So it's just a little bit more natural. It took me a while to get brave enough to branch out to Vegtan, but now that I have, I use it any chance I can get because I love tooling things onto it. I love making it just makes it such a more unique project. It's stiffer than Chrome Tan, so where Chrome Tan is very supple and soft the majority of the time, Veg Tan is really stiff and doesn't bend easily. So it's a struggle sometimes, because I want to be making things that have the softness of Chrome Tan, but I want to tool something into it, so it becomes kind of a game of figuring that out. Just an example, I am making a journal for my beautiful friend Mia, who, if you're listening, Mia, hi, I love you. And I promise that your journal's the next thing on my list after my cosplay. For Mia, it makes her brain happy when is a soft, supple leather. So for her journal, I wanted it to be it's got a flap, essentially, is what I'm getting at. I like a flappy leather. But I really wanted to put her logo into it because I think that would make it adorable and more like cute and personal. So she asked for a patchwork journal, which is when I take a bunch of pieces from different heights and Frankenstein them all together, inspired by Sally's dress from Nightmare Before Christmas. And because I had to use Vegtan for tooling, but then Chrome for the majority of it, it just became kind of like a puzzle of like, where do I put the Vegtan so that it doesn't make it too stiff in the wrong places? I wanted it to just feel like a leather journal that, Mia would be happy with. And I think I figured it out and I'm like really happy with it. I mentioned earlier, Vegtan you can dye or paint. So that's good or bad depending on how much work you want to put into it. Some people just want finished leather because that's not really what their specialty is or what they enjoy. Personally, for me, it kind of depends. Sometimes I like to be able to just sew something together and not worry about dyeing or painting, but it's really nice when you're making a custom piece to get exactly the shade you want. For dyeing and painting, there are also negatives and positives. A dye will sink into the leather, so if it gets scuffed or scratched, it won't be as obvious, but dye fades faster, and if you don't seal it properly, it can bleed, while paint sits on the top, so scratches are going to be more obvious. There's a risk of the paint cracking if the leather bends and the paint wasn't applied properly, but it doesn't fade like dye, so if you take care of it, it can actually last a lot longer. Paints are also a lot easier to mix to get the color you exactly want because you can see what the final result will be. With a dye, it's going to be darker before it gets on the leather, so it's kind of hard. It's probably not hard for people who are more experienced with it, but for me, it's hard. Um, you have to do either a test strip or just be a risky mofo and just go for it. So everything I have mentioned here has its place. I have everything here and I've used it and I will continue mixing and matching however I need to. Generally, Vegtan is a lot more expensive than Chrome because it takes a lot longer to tan it, but I get to keep less of it on hand because I'm going to make it whatever color I want versus Chrometan, which I need to have a lot of variety for, so both are good. If you wonder what your leather product is made from, there are a few tests you can do, but a lot of them assume that you have a hide to work with and can cut a piece off and like burn it up. So I'm guessing you don't want to do that to your precious leather bag. Um so just a very surface level test is that if it's soft and bends easily, and especially if it lightens when you bend it, it's probably chrome. If it's really stiff, it could be veg tan, but I think most things that people will be buying for just like their everyday use are going to be chrome. So I hope that was interesting to hear about, even if you aren't a leather worker. I know I always enjoy hearing about other people's hobbies and specialties and fun facts about them. So I'm doing a special little giveaway. The first 20 people who sign up for the newsletter, that is the first day it will go out is tomorrow if you're listening to this on the day it's released, so that's March 18th. And then that's the regular weekly newsletter. That's just gonna have like mostly fun crafty things, but also kind of blog-ish. Um, and maybe like just whatever Glitter Fox Media is up to. I'm writing it and I am having a lot of fun with it. And the point of it is just to kind of connect with people over things that maybe if you don't like Discord or don't want to keep up with it, it's another way to connect with you, the listener. But if you sign up, this is for the first 20 people who sign up and reply to the first email I send you. This is not the confirmation email. This is the welcome email, which will specify that you have to reply to it with an address to send it to, and I will send you a sticker for Lazy Fox Creates and for my other podcast, We Fix Games. So yeah, if you want some stickers sent to you, this isn't like a drawing or anything, just whoever replies to the email will get some stickers. To sign up for the newsletter, click the link in the episode description or go to the website lazyfoxcreates.com. There will be a newsletter tab at the top. If you would like more instant communication, I do have a Discord. It is the Glitter Fox Media Discord, which is the podcast network that I am a part of. A link to that will be in the description or at the website lazyfoxcreates.com. That's all for this episode. Love y'all. Go out and make something.